Hi there, Stardust and Wicked Ones. And this is video 2 about talking about my past a little bit. I'm going to skip around in my age because certain memories hold the strongest. So I released my first video, talked about the crime I was charged with. This one is more personal, and this is probably where I bring up the whole people are going to get offended. Um, Something my mother told me that I guess I misunderstood my whole life was she used to always tell me, in the eyes of a child, a mother is God. That kind of made me idolize women in a way because I thought that through a woman I would find God. And I guess that the closest I ever am to God is when I don't have a woman around, because most of the women I seem to date are afraid of God because of their own sins, or because they have their own fears that they don't want to let go of. I've want to say I loved many women in my past. I definitely had a crush on a few. I liked some. I even loved some. But I would say I've only ever been in love with two women. One was my first wife, and I didn't do her justice as a husband. And that will forever be something that is on my shoulders. I tried to do what my first wife asked me to, though, and I tried to be the best husband I could for my second wife. We decided to become spiritually married instead of through the courts, because neither one of us wanted to believe in the courts because of how the courts are used against men. And at the time, I believed that she understood that. I dedicated the 7 years I was with my second wife to doing everything I could to make her happy. Went to work, bought her everything I could, took her out on dates, bought her flowers. Every Christmas, I'd either buy her a Christmas tree, or this last year, I built her a Christmas tree with my bare hands through Boy Scout lessons. Boy Scouts taught me how to build my own Christmas tree. I know it sounds weird, but it definitely it made her smile, and I miss those smiles. This last year, she was taken from me. Um, I was going through multiple organ failures, and while doing so, I was trying to reach out and help old friends. And in doing so, uh, my friend was in an abusive relationship with a guy, and I tried to take him in. I tried to see the better in him. He claimed he was a pacifist, and I even welcomed him into our relationship because at the time we were in a poly relationship. Now, I did so under specific conditions that if me and my wife ever got in an argument, that he would step aside so we could figure out what was wrong, because, like most men, it's always my fault. But instead, he convinced her to leave, and him and his coven cult gang spent weeks convincing my wife that I was a bad person, and she moved out. And then she just quit talking to me. She would allow these people to bastardize my name. Of course, there's not a lot to bastardize, so of course they went back to my charge because it was the only thing they had. Um, but in doing so, I took time out. I prayed. I asked God why He would do this to me, because this woman always used to say that God brought me into her life and that God brought me to her to save her from the streets where I found her. And now she's, from my understanding, back there, and I am heartbroken. But at this point, there's nothing I can do. They have drawn such an evil image of me in her eyes that any good memory she probably has of me is now tainted with their evil lies, and there's nothing I can really do about that. But this actually seems to be my life. I tried to go back out on the dating pool, and here comes the offense. Most of the women I talked to all begged for money, and I don't like money in the first place, so I tend not to have a lot on me, and the money I do have, I carry in cash. And these women would insult me for not doing things like buying them gift cards or shit. At this point, I'm just convinced that they're all scammers. They used porn star pictures, so it's whatever. But the point is that these people continue to attack me. At one point, one even threatened to end my life. And while I don't fear death, I do want to keep my brother safe. So, unfortunately, I had to report it. I've had a lot of women in my life try to attack me for different things, and I've had a lot of women push me away because they just were so self righteous. And I've had a lot of brothers push me away because, well, us guys don't really have anyone in our corner in the first place, so we always got to deal with our own shit first. And a lot of those guy friends are just currently dealing with their own shit, so they can't be here. Which, like you said, it's fine. It gives me time to pray. It gives me time to continue my research on Nephilim and how to create atoms ourselves. In fact, a lot of my science spiel is about that because while I have no degrees, I have spent 15 plus years working in the field of science and history and religion. I've been attacked for this. I've been called insane for this. I have been called a cult leader, even though no one believes in what I believe in at this point. I mean, you all believe in parts of it, and we'll get into that, but I needed to get these things out because they hurt, and I needed to clear the air. I want to fight with you guys against the evils of this world, and that includes things like pride, envy, lust, gluttony, slothfulness. There's probably a couple more, but honestly, these are the ones that seem to attack me the most. So, to end off, I will say that to all the women, I do love you, but I am greatly ashamed of you. I don't pay for pornography, don't pay for OnlyFans. Honestly, I don't have to, never will. You women have made porn so freely available that I honestly don't know why any man spends money on it. Maybe it's just for the personal gratification of having some porn star say their name. Don't really care. But it really has devalued you women as a whole, and that's why it's so depressing, because it's not your body that certain men are attracted to. The reason women like to attack men about liking younger women has nothing to do with age. It has to do with innocence. Men like to teach our wives about the world around us and how that world will attack us and defame us and crucify us, because men are just seen as the ultimate evil. And I have yet to figure out exactly why in my studies. I know that women blame us for most of the rapes and murders, but in reality, when I was a baby, 5 years old, I was raped by a woman. And that woman was either my babysitter or it was my own mother. So it really destroys the concept of, in the eyes of a child, a mother is God, especially when that mother is willing to rape her own child. And I know I left this at the end as a little snippet because I wanted you guys to understand that my entire life has been a shit show. And I have been abused and taken advantage of. And everyone has tried to get me off this path for a long time. This video is about to end, so I'll try to release one more today. You all have a good day. Keep up the good fight.